All right, I have 9 a.m. Today is March 24th, and this is the meeting of the Village District of Eidelweiss Board of Commissioners. And we'll start by reviewing the agenda. And I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as listed with one modification that I believe, well, we do need to go into non-public regarding employee matters.
Mm-hmm. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is number 4 what you're referring to? DPW? And there's a DPW asterisk.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the DPW asterisk is up over in the approval of the agenda, but maybe that's referring back down. Is that what that's doing? Referring back down to DPW non-public?
Yes, where the asterisk is.
Okay. Got it.
So, yes.
Okay. All right.
So Mark second, and it's
3-0.
3-0.
Yep.
All right. So now we will review the minutes from last Wednesday, March 18th. I'll make a motion to approve these minutes.
Approve and review.
Approve and review. Well, a second then for
Second.
discussion. All right. So discussion. Does anybody have any revisions, modifications, additions?
Yes.
Okay.
Under my report, it refers to the water hookup ordinance. There is no such thing.
Oh,
There is a water hookup. There is a water ordinance.
Okay.
Under your report, under Wood's report, warranty is spelt with a Y, not two E's. And under signature.
that was Wood's.
Yep. Yep, and under signature items, Jeff DiMartino is spelt incorrectly.
Okay.
Yeah, I took that one.
Not with an I.
Yeah,
Sorry.
according to this, you're Jeff DeMartian
Oh.
Yeah.
or Martian.
Yep, and
Wow.
and also under signature
Uh-huh.
items, it mentions the water hookup ordinance.
Yep,
And again,
gotcha.
there is no such thing, it's the water ordinance.
Gotcha.
So those are what I had.
You have anything, Mark?
Nope.
Okay, I got a few minor. All right, under Mark Graffam's report, bullet point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll see the second sentence says his prior quote may have to been, I think that to be,
Yep.
have to be updated. So change that.
Yep.
Then under my report, bullet point 2, second to last line, you have semi-annual. It should be semi-annual. Okay.
Yeah.
And let's see. I think there's something else. Dun dun dun. Yep. I had the Jeff, but Nancy caught that. Okay.
Okay.
That's all I have. All right. So, do we have an approval of the March 18th minutes with revisions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 3-0. All right, with that, let's move on to the operations and payroll manifest. And I want to make a motion that we approve the operations manifest, but first for discussion.
Second.
Second, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Which one?
Okay.
Give it to
Operation-
Mark.
Okay. All right, so the total, including payroll, is $17,073.39. The big standout item was the highway street sand and gravel for $5,950. 17 loads of sand. Wow.
Well, you have to remember, they had issues with their billing system, so they're trying to catch up.
Right.
Oh, okay, so this is what this means,
So if
January
you-
12th to
If you
March
looked at
5th.
the invoice, it,
Okay,
yes.
I understand. So it's multiple invoices going back to January.
Correct.
All right, got it. So they hit us all at once, kind of like what Simply
Yeah,
Water sometimes
unfortunately.
does with us. All right. Then, of course, the Dodge Rams had some work. welding cracked plow frame for $922. Then, as is usual, sometimes there are our trucks go off the road just because they're slippery and we're doing a lot of work with them, so had to pull it out for $275. But that's a one-time, not a repeating item, I'm sure. But it'll happen again in the future at some point. We paid the supervisor the checklists for our annual meeting.
We also paid the clerk and
And the moderator, yes.
We never discussed compensation for them, so is this just set up as how much they got paid last year?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
So, since we never brought it up, that's something maybe we can put on the back burner and discuss for the future. Then our IT services for $435.
Yep, that's for April.
Right, monthly billing on that. Keep our computer system safe. And then rubber edges for the 2019 Dodge. And then payroll, which was really the lion's share of the 17,000, but the big one was the sand. All right, any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0. All right, make a motion to approve the water manifest. And the total on the water manifest is $14,492.96. The lion's share of that goes to Simply Water.
You can't discuss until
Oh, I'm sorry, do I make a motion?
Nope.
you need to make the motion.
I make a motion to approve and discuss the water manifest.
Second.
All right, discussion. All right, so I was going to say that $14,492.96. The lion's share of that is Simply Water at $9,365.40. But that's not only their monthly water operator fee that include repairs to the pH system and buildings and ground. Not sure what that GG stands for. GG, buildings and ground?
General government.
General government, buildings and ground. So the pH repairs were $1,509, and the buildings and grounds were $3,456. Any questions? Discussion? All approved?
Aye.
Aye. 3-0. All right. So now I'll make a motion that we go on to the DPW report.
Time.
Time is 9:08.
Thank you.
9:08. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeff.
Yeah, so we're just cleaning up from the storm over the weekend. I don't know, 4 or 5 inches, some wet kind of snow. Yeah.
Heavy.
Which is always not our favorite to plow, but I think it cleaned up nicely until we got another inch last night that we're gonna have to clean up again. Again, I middle of the winter, I probably wouldn't clean up the inch off the gravel roads, but now this time of year, I want to get it off to keep them as dry as possible. The less snow that melts on the roads and keeps them wet, the better. So we're scraping them off now, and getting all that done, and in that process, we're going to try to strip down the big truck, I believe, and get that all stripped down, the hardware off of that, and get that sander cleaned up, and
So when you say big truck, what are you talking
the
about?
7400.
Thank you.
We get the chains off the grader and the backhoe in case we have to run them on the roads. We don't really want to run the grader on the roads at this point, but we're going to strip the hardware off of that as well. Just keep going along with everything else for the spring operations.
So one of your reports from last week was you said you noticed a culvert pipe on Bard needs replacing, has a sinkhole, old metal culvert rotting out.
Yeah.
Do we have
a culvert
to
replace it with?
replace
No. Yeah, we'll have to get some better eyes on that, but we did know we were filling potholes and noticed what we thought was maybe a pothole, and we started filling it and it just keeps going down and down. So I noticed it's a culvert. It still was buried in the snow on the edges of it. I believe it's an old metal pipe. I couldn't, like I said, I didn't dig it out to get a good look at it. But yeah, it's one of those that, again, I believe it's an old rotted one. That we'll have to get some better eyes on, but.
Has it been working, or is it creating drainage problems, or is it?
No, it's pretty flat up there, but it works. I mean, but again, there's a big dip there. Not big, but there's a little dip now, where the pipe crosses the road, which is, one of the signs of it failing. And then the sinkhole down on the exit end of it, the top would be rotting as well in that situation to create the sinkhole. So as the snow melts off, we're going to have to get a little better look at it. It's luckily not a very traveled area. The houses are all on the opposite end of this, so they're not usually coming out your side of it. Yeah, so you know what I mean? They're going down the other way and out. So it's not anything where you couldn't drive over it right now anyway, but it is something I think we're going to have to address when
So it's midway on Biden?
Yeah, it's kind of the uphill side where you get the view and everything, where the clearing.
So it exhausts out to the power lines?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I think I know which one you're talking about.
yeah. But there's that, yeah, so that's something we'll take a look at.
And this week you have an item called Talk About Power Steering Pump in 2018 Rams.
Yes,
What's the issue
the
there?
power steering pump's been whining quite a bit. We've been adding a lot of fluid to it. Was a slow leak that I think was getting worse and worse. So I think we're gonna have to get that looked at. I don't know if it's maybe a line underneath there. We'll poke our heads under there. It's kind of in a really bad spot to see, really. The way they pack everything into them motors. But that might have to go over to Albany Service and have them take a look and see if the pump is on its way out or if it's just a line going to it. But I guess that reservoir, that whole setup is the steering and brakes are kind of combined together. So it is something that we've been diligently keeping an eye on and topping that tank off quite frequently lately. It'd be like once every month or two, and now it's been like, every other day we gotta keep filling, it's something that once we're by some weather, which we might be today, I think I gotta get over there and get them to look at it.
Okay. We need that 2018 to keep going for another year or so. Then you also have a line saying, have a meeting with commissioners about various topics, roads, gravel, FEMA projects. Clearly, we as a board have said in the past that we do want to do periodic meetings
Right,
with
that's kind of what I
all
was-
the DPW employees to
Sure.
go over this sort of stuff. So I'm assuming that's in line with that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So are we in a position where we want to schedule
The meeting with Jeff?
And I'm assuming Tony and Andrew as well? Everybody?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to explain a few things on my own and then go into it with the rest of us as well, yeah.
Okay,
If that would work for you guys.
all right. So, do people have openings this week to do that? I mean, is Tony in today?
He is.
If we want,
Nancy, were you planning to come to the office this week as well?
Yes.
I mean, we could, if everybody's available, we could recess this meeting when we're finished and then reconvene this afternoon to have a meeting with the DPW crew.
I'm scheduled to call Willie Newtile at 4. Other than that,
4. But you guys knock off at 3.
Yes.
So
that's why I made it 4.
I would propose we have a meeting at 2. Would that work? Double check my calendar. I'm sure it does. I don't think I have anything this afternoon hard. Today's 24th. Yeah. Okay. I can do 2.
Yeah, it'd be great.
All right. So
We'll recess.
all right. We will recess the meeting. Meet with you, and then you'll call in.
Yeah, I'll
the other
bring the
2.
guys in,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. And then you had another thing that said ask about salt.
Yeah, so.
Will we get the garage?
We can meet at the
Yeah.
garage.
Yeah. Let's meet at the garage. Yeah.
Yeah, figured we're still in decent shape for what we've been getting and what we're gonna get, but I don't know if I thought maybe, it's like anything else, I'm sure the price is gonna go up next year. I don't know if we wanna load a couple loads in the salt shed now, before the close of the season. I don't know if that's something you guys, I mean, it's gonna cost, but I mean, just, like I said, thought I'd throw that out there at you guys, I don't know.
Does it keep?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it stays nice and dry in the shed, I mean.
Okay.
that's no-
Okay.
We have done that in the past.
Right.
You did it last year, no?
How much were you thinking?
I thought of 2 triaxle loads with what we've used, and I could fit in there.
And that runs about what?
Again, I put that like 3,000 a load or something. I thought I can't remember the last time we had that Eastern
Sure.
Minerals bill a couple of months ago.
So
It's been a while since we've gotten any.
Yeah.
All right. So it's 3,000 per triaxle load.
That's just the top of my
Okay,
head.
so, I'm just ballpark figure. And
Yeah.
You want 2 triaxle loads?
Yeah.
So we're looking at $6,000 worth of salt.
If that's the price on it, I don't pay the bills. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
All right, I'm gonna make a suggestion, let's get a better price on that and then bring that up again next week for motion to go ahead and do it. I'm not comfortable, just me speaking personally, putting that forward and doing it. It makes perfect sense, but I'd be more comfortable if I knew what the dollar amount was, so we're not shooting blind.
The likelihood of prices going up for next year.
I agree.
Almost
I agree.
guaranteed.
I'm saying it's a good idea, but is a 1 week delay going to hurt anything? I mean, you have enough salt right now for your needs
Yeah.
for the remainder of whatever winter we have left, correct?
Yeah, I get by.
All right. That's my thoughts and feelings. If you two have different opinions, this is your time to opine.
Could you make that decision later today when you resume the meeting at 2?
We could,
It
if
would
we've
be a
got.
public meeting at that point.
Yeah, it would be a public meeting, yeah.
So
If we-
just check the number and then, so you're not delaying it by more than,
I mean, we could
6
use whatever
hours.
the last bill was that you had,
Yep, the
Figure
bills
out-
are at the office.
right? Just figure out what
Which
the
will already
single
be low.
triaxle is. So
because
look
the
that up.
fuel's already gone up.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Fuel
Okay.
wasn't $5 a gallon for diesel
Right.
last, but,
Yeah, that's the other thing
Right.
we're contending with.
so this afternoon,
Yep, this
Yeah.
afternoon will be good.
So it makes sense to me. Okay. All right. Anybody have any
Anything else?
further questions for Jeff?
I have some questions. So I'm gonna talk to Willie this afternoon. We held off discussions last week until we talked to Ian, and you didn't hear how that went, but
About Lugano there.
Lugano, yeah.
Yep.
There's a new problem, and it may be on the property owner's side. So that changes things. Ian's waiting, and he's not going after that problem until the ground is
Yeah.
thawed. It's gonna start with excavating the curb stop to see whether water's flowing out of the curb stop and the problem's on the property owner's side, or whether there's a problem on our side of the curb stop going back down
Right.
with the line that we want to replace anyway. Even though this line goes down to the main on Eidelweiss Drive, Ian says there's a 2-inch water main that comes down to service the rest of the street and connects at the main. So I'm picturing that Willie has to smash rock between where the water main is and where the curb stop is.
Yeah.
So I was gonna talk to Will about the timing of that, but now I gotta say that's not the critical timing issue. It would be, we may want him to start ditching before that,
Right.
because I'm not sure when Ian wants to start that. But then we still have to coordinate him getting there. He says he can get a rock hammer on the smaller excavator,
Yep, you guys said that before.
but I think we were assuming that the bigger excavator has more leverage with the rock hammer
Oh, of course.
because of the weight of the,
Oh, yeah. No,
its
no, the
base
bigger
is
one's
anchored,
gonna
it's
hammer
not
the
bouncing
bigger
around like
Hmm.
a smaller machine might
Yeah.
do. So I'll talk to him about that today. I guess I'd like a list of his equipment in pricing. I don't know if he has things like rollers, and he does hardscaping, so.
Yeah, I never mentioned anything about a roller.
So I just
but-
wanted to let you know that
Yeah.
I'm still working on that.
Yeah,
It's still March, it's still winter.
yeah, I know it.
The gravity eye wash, the green system in the DPW two. Do you guys have a chance to get that back working?
No, not sure really what the right way to go about sanitizing that thing is.
I think
You know, how do you know you get all the soap out of it or rinse it out properly?
it needs to be rinsed several times, and I think it needs a cycle of pure hydrogen peroxide rinse,
Yeah.
which will kill anything. But it really needs to be cleaned. So it's been on my mind. I'll follow through with you on that. We'll get the thing down to DPW 1.
Oh, yeah.
When you get it down to DPW 1, let me know,
Okay.
and I'll get some.
Yeah, we'll take it off the wall today. We can pull it off the wall and.
I mean, you have the bottles that are still in the,
Right.
so I'm not that worried about
No,
it.
if something were to go south, we grab the jugs and do what we got to do.
If hydraulic fluid got in somebody's eyes, I think there's a little panic with that. I'd like all resources to be available.
Right.
So if you get that down there, I'll get peroxide to do a second rinse with it,
Okay.
and we'll get that sterilized, and then we'll load it with distilled water and get it back.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
You have anything, Nancy? I've got one more thing. I'm just curious, because we have to start planning, looking forward. With regard to the commercial driver's license school, you said it was 4 to 5 weeks, but I'm reading this letter from White Mountains Community College, and it says it's one semester, a 15-week program divided into 4 courses. Does
Yeah, that's-
he need all 4 courses?
Well, that's probably one we're not going to go through. I mean, that's the more, I thought that might be an option, but after reading over that, I've called several different schools and looked into several different things, and that, I thought that'd be a good one. It's to close, Berlin, but that's probably not the one we're going to go through.
I mean,
it's like you said, I think it's going to be more costly, and I think it's going to be more time consuming. So there's a couple other ones, like I said, that last week. There's one that I think we're going to already rule out that they come here and we utilize our truck. I think the one that he's going to go down there and use their truck. What he's got to do is get his permit first by going on the Troop E there, get the book, schedule a test, and get the written permit, and then he could go and enroll into this other school down in Pelham, I believe, and it's like a $44,000 to $4,200. And I believe it's a 6-week program or a 5-week program.
was that about the duration of the one when you went through it all those years ago?
It was different when I went through it. You didn't need a class. You didn't need school. You took the written test, then you made an appointment. You took the driving test. Well, there's a walk around and inspection test, and then there's the and that's what the schooling shows you. So many people were failing the walk around and even the driving, that they made it a mandatory thing to take a test now. So. But then they lightened up the testing too, from what I've heard. But yeah, so I don't know. It's different than it was years ago.
So what we need to know for planning purposes is when is that course offered?
Right.
How many weeks is it? Is it like in this case, a lot of from White Mountains, he's not there the full day. He's only there for a partial day, but probably the driving, wherever that is, would take up a lot of time too.
Yeah, and that
So-
looked like it's over in their Lancaster branch, so
Yeah.
it's not even over in Berlin. So yeah, that one initially seemed like the one, but the more I read through it, I'm like, oh no, that's not the one.
Okay. All right.
That's gonna be the most.
All right. So get the when they offer it.
Yeah, I'll see when their sessions run in and out and how they do it more.
Because it seems to me, we probably would want to put them through in the fall after most of the summer work is done. But I don't know if they even offer courses in the fall.
Yeah, I'd like to get it through as soon as possible, but
But then you'd be sacrificing manpower if it's during the
right.
the road work time.
Do we know who Conway uses? Because they're advertising that they're going to send somebody they hired.
They have a kid there, I believe, that does the training in-house.
Huh. Do they let them do that?
We bumped into a guy at the
Because we used to do that.
yeah, we bumped into a guy at the state shed who works over there, and we're talking to him. This was like last year, and he said he teaches the guys how to get their license through over there. I don't know if he's certified or what the deal is, but I mean, I could call and ask how they do that if it's something we can get in on. I know the state has their own program, but we couldn't get in on it.
Right.
We asked.
Huh.
Might be worth a call.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Other than actual road work, I put that a pretty high priority because we need to plug that in and plan accordingly.
Right.
Okay. All right, that's all I have.
Alrighty, we'll see you later on. Thank you.
All right, it is, all right, Jeff, thank you. Have a good day. We'll see you later.
Yep.
It's 9:26. Move on to the commissioners' reports. So Nancy?
No, nope, I don't have much of anything.
Okay. Mark, you have anything?
Yeah, I looked at various local banks about certificates of deposit. I was thinking that instead of opening up a low interest account just to separate that money, if I could catch you in time before you actually did that, we could investigate. And I was surprised to see that Camden, so it's within the same bank, we're talking about putting the retention money
Okay.
from
That's
the-
what I was kind of came here today for.
to find out
I
what.
was very curious about what's going to start.
Typically,
going on
what we
with
do with a big project with a contractor is we make payments at the beginning of the contract
that. Okay,
to get, there's a starting percentage, it's usually like 10% to start so they can buy the fuel and mobilize. And then at various points of progress, we make other installation payments, and at the end, we make a final payment, but we withhold 10% that we call retention money. And that's for a year, which is the warranty on the pipe work that was done in this case.
okay,
So, we like to put it into an interest-bearing account because we're holding their money back. We don't need to see them lose an opportunity to make interest because we're holding the money. So I'm trying to do it anyway to see how the current banking world works. So, Camden has a 6-month CD that they're paying 3.75, I think.
okay,
And then they have 90-day ones where we might fill in the odd amount of time that's left after 6 months, because
okay,
I think they finished around October, so we need to nail down these dates as to when we would due to give them their 10% that we withheld. So, I was bringing it up today to say I could call Laurie Houghton, who's
Yep.
the manager there.
yeah,
I didn't know whether you'd be here today. We can discuss whether it's better for you to talk to her or me. It doesn't matter to me.
okay,
To see whether they can let us open up a CD and move the amount of money that we've withheld, which would be the 10% of what we pay, what they invoice us for at the end of their contract. And then maybe calculate what interest it did make on the pittance that they paid for checking account that it's in.
which is.
Close to nothing, not worth,
Dust.
maybe not worth the math.
Wow. Yeah, right.
But getting them 3.75, they might appreciate it. We like to take care of contractors like that, so
Right,
they like doing business with us.
okay, and what about with the truck loans and stuff like that? Is that money separated also? With the truck,
Oh,
what's going on with the vehicles?
We're waiting to get a contract from tax exempt leasing
Okay,
to provide the financing. I was going to be in my commissioner's report.
okay,
I'm expecting that probably today. I was hoping
Okay.
to be ready in time for this meeting, but it's not. But maybe by the time we meet this afternoon, we'll have it. So once we sign that,
What about legal review?
that's true. We
Mhm.
discussed getting a legal review on the the contract.
You talked about it last week.
Yes, you're right, absolutely right. Thank you for reminding me.
I wanted to talk about the timing on the Western Star purchase too, but stay on the subject.
Okay.
Okay.
So anyway, that's
I'm
still a
sorry, I
work,
kinda took us
that's
off
still a
on
work
that.
in progress.
Nope.
We have the financing company lined up.
Okay.
Called Taxes and Leasing. They're very familiar with this area. Done a lot of business with Madison, Ossipee. They know a lot of the players in this area, so I was pretty impressed with them.
Okay. All right. And as far as this other, I would need to know account number, before I talk to her, I would need.
So, 30 years ago, when CD rates were high, and municipality loans were low, the village used to get a tax anticipation note and then invest that money in a CD against cash flow requirements.
All right.
So we used to make money on a loan. We have a pretty good cash supply now due to FEMA reimbursements and the way we're building up the unassigned fund balance. So if it turns out that Camden has no problem with us opening up a CD in the village's name,
Mm-hmm.
and whether they will let you do that or whether they want to see signatures from all of us, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We went through a lot with them to switch over from, what were they before? Northway
Northway.
to Camden. But I guess the banks and the federal government are suspicious of anybody that's not an individual that's moving money around in banks. So be interesting to see whether we get into managing cash flow and we actually make investments in CDs like we used to increase.
Okay.
And that would be having cash flow maps where you would know when it was we need to make payments on things like.
Is another thing I'd probably have to get together with someone on.
Yep. We would take it slow.
Good.
Yes.
So, let's decide now whether you want
I can call Laurie.
You wanna talk to Laurie?
Just ask if we can, and what it would entail.
and you have a picture of that it's retention money in case she needs to know why we're doing that, yeah.
It might be a good idea.
Another thing I have is the audit.
Are we on Mark's reports or are we
Mhm.
finished?
Yes, no, we're
Okay.
still on
Okay.
Mark's commissioner report.
All right. Okay, sorry.
I'd like to see the audit be a permanent bullet on old business tabled items. I'm kind of very concerned about our situation with the audit, and I don't think that's something that we have time to kick down the road. Particularly where I'm kind of solely managing the FEMA stuff, and it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, and the idea that we don't have an auditing system in place makes me not want to do it. So I'd like to see us decide how we're going to solve the problem of the auditing of the 2025 books, which is the task at hand, and also have the system in place of how the 2026 is going to get audited. It's kind of the thing that it's now March and time just goes by, and
Yeah. I thought we were kind of on a dual track system where we're still gonna keep searching high and low for an auditing firm that will work with us and can meet our budget. But at the same time, if that falls through the cracks, that next year we have to do the election on the locally appointed auditor, of which would be a huge job of 2 years of auditing, or although hopefully that's a radical. I wouldn't want to go that way.
so you feel that we're underway of searching high and low?
I think so. My particular account,
Who's searching high and low?
well, just I put a message into my accountant, who I've been used for over 20 years, who used to be in Connecticut, it's now in Rhode Island, but he's licensed in the state of New Hampshire as well, so he still does my taxes. I said, hey, do you know anybody up here, or do you know any organizations, anything? Can you, something that can give us leads that we can chase down? So I'm waiting to hear back from him. That's one way. Then I learned that for my PT, the lady that comes in right after me works for a local accounting firm. So I'm gonna tomorrow stay late until she comes in and just ask her. So we'll see. You never know. You know.
There was one that responded, but their statement was we wouldn't like the price.
30 to 40,000 versus 12.
If that's what we have to pay to be compliant with the laws, that is something we may have to consider.
We may, but when you consider our entire budget is only 1.1 million, we don't even spend that much. 30,000 for audit? That's just like insane.
It'll be more now, we watch.
Insane. So I agree. We may have to do that, but
Mhm.
I think we can still shop around in the meantime.
Mhm.
And we have to shop around aggressively. So like I said, I'm putting out feelers, and I'll keep. I think we all need to just, anybody we know, just keep asking, see if we can find someone.
So is any accountant able to do this, or it has to be a specific skill set?
I believe they have to be certified, licensed, whatever, to do municipalities.
Okay.
And what I learned years ago was that CPAs either specialize in municipal audits or they don't,
Okay.
because it's a different kind of insurance policy they need,
Ah.
which is expensive. So they don't, that led me to conclude you can't have a CPA say they'll take on one municipality.
Mm.
The companies that do it that's what they do. They do municipalities, they specialize in it, they keep track of New Hampshire law, and it's the insurance policy that prevents them from getting into the business.
Okay.
I don't know if that's changed, but that's what I learned years ago.
So if you hire someone individual, they also have to be certified?
If
go
we do
that
a
route?
local,
Mm.
no, they don't. They don't have to even be an accountant.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
And it can be more than one person. You can say that you want 3 community members to be the auditors of it.
Okay,
But we can't go that route until after next year's annual meeting, assuming the voters approve
right.
us appointing
Mhm.
a local auditor. So,
If it's already been approved, it will be on next year's ballot.
right, they approved to go to present that question next year, right? That was that.
Well,
was the word.
to approve the selected, whomever you select will be.
We don't select them.
We don't select
Oh,
them.
you don't?
It will be a
Vote.
vote. It will
Oh,
be
yeah,
who puts their name in the ballot,
I see.
the same way for any other
Elected
position.
position,
Oh.
yeah,
Wow.
okay.
So there was a recommendation by NHMA, I believe, the Municipal Association, to contact the Attorney General's office at some point and say, the law is working against us because it requires us to hire a CPA firm. They also said, going the route of having a locally elected auditor may not work with loan agreements we already have and future loan agreements.
Right.
So we're about to have somebody look at the loan agreements we may enter soon. And we should give them the heads up that we want to know if they see language in there that requires a CPA, because we can't read that, read the word CPA, we have to pay an attorney to use.
Mhm.
Yes. Yep, okay, so that,
So what you're saying, if that happens, we may have to hire someone just.
Correct.
yeah, if the loan covenants say that you have to have an official auditor, an outside auditing firm, not a local person, then we're stuck. We have to do it. So all I can request is start putting out the feelers. We need to find some CPA or accounting firm that will
But the
take us on.
audit that we would get is for 2025, right?
Mhm.
We're not entering into these loans till 2026.
Yeah, but we have loans already on the books.
Oh,
So
you're
those
talking
have to
about
be looked at.
existing.
Yep.
So the new ones
I
need to be
getcha.
looked at, but the existing ones need to be looked at too.
Yep.
So I'll make a motion that we have audit be a bullet item under
Yep.
old business line item number 9 of the agenda each
Yeah.
week.
I agree.
Second.
Yes.
Till we solve it.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
So the truck timing for the Western Star, it's still in my craw, the logic of ordering the truck before we hear from
Green
the
Fleet.
grant money,
Yeah.
Green Fleet. And it works if it doesn't flag the grantors that they don't need to give us a grant, we're buying it. So can the timing be that we hold back on actually ordering it until we hear from them, because they said it was gonna be within a couple of weeks of our annual meeting, which I'm sure they have no control over that, but that's all at the governor's office in the council meeting. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do, but let's go worst case scenario, that they say, no, we're not awarding you any money. Then what?
Well, we had that discussion, and I think your position was buy it anyway, because we didn't tell the legislative body during the discussion of that warrant article that we wouldn't buy the truck if we didn't get the grant. That was never said. You said there's this grant that we're applying for, it may or may not happen.
Right.
So that's the way it went at the annual meeting. And I chose not to offer any other ideas, so that's the way the meeting went. So that's the way this can go also. But it's still, I had to bring it up one more time between all of us here on the timing of it. Whether it's too risky to hold it for a couple of weeks with the people that are selling us the truck. It was the comment you made when I said, this quote's good for 14 days, and you said, well, it can be slopped over a little bit. I thought it was worth today's discussion just to bring it up one more time, and then,
Yeah, well, I can certainly reach out to Mac and find out when it's gonna go up before the General and Executive Council. It should be pretty soon now.
you can say you have a commissioner that's doubting that we should purchase this thing at all unless we get the grant. Just
What's wrong with that?
because it's true.
Yeah.
But if you want to stick with what happened at the annual meeting, I could be good with that too. It's just worth one more conversation today.
Okay, well. All right.
I'm certainly okay with holding until we know the status of the grant from the executive council
Okay,
for that purchase.
okay. But, again, let's say we get awarded some money, whether it's 10, 50, or the full 80%. We still have to purchase it before we see a dime of reimbursement.
Yep.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay,
Madison's getting 70%,
yep,
and they waited until they actually got the grant first before they put the order in.
Yeah.
They put the order in under duress because their situation was they needed to get the truck in-house by the end of the year.
right.
And the truck, they're buying one that's being built, and there's a risk that the truck doesn't get built in time before they lose the grant, and that was a mess for them. Ours is different, is that we're buying an existing truck at a dealership,
Yes,
and had our annual meeting before we learned what the grant was gonna
Right.
be, so a little different. So if your point is, we get a smaller fraction of the grant, and the point of that was, we would buy it anyway.
well, I personally was under the impression whether we get $0 or get the full $240,000, we were getting this truck, because
Well, that's what the meeting decided.
Mm-hmm.
they
They
voted
didn't
to
bring up,
approve it.
they didn't bring up any other options, they didn't amend it, and
Mm-hmm.
so those are the cards.
Okay. All right, well, then I can reach out to Mac and find out when it's gonna go up toward the council. And, but in the meantime, are you finished with everything you wanted on your report? Because that would segue right into, because I was only gonna talk about trucks.
No, but if you want to stick on trucks,
Mm.
I can pause and come back to me after you're done with you.
Okay.
Because I've been in your position many times where after I finish, I
Not a problem.
It's
Not a
not gonna
problem.
change
can't
now,
draw a
I don't
hard
think.
line with you.
All right. So, pretty simple. Okay. Maybe I spoke too soon, but I reached out to Brian at Dodge and Mike at HP Fairfield last week to inform them that the voters had approved the purchase of these trucks. And that the next thing I needed to do was to line up the financing, and Mike turned us on to tax exempt leasing. I've been in regular contact with Mark Z at tax exempt leasing. Like I said, I expect to see the contracts, two separate ones that we discussed
Yeah.
last week. And I asked about, well, the Dodge is a little more complicated because we're buying it from Dodge, but the snowplow work, which actually costs more than the actual vehicle, is being done by HP Fairfield. And they said he had a way of, segmenting that particular loan, the full amount, into two parts. So we'll see how he does that when he
For
comes
what
back with
benefit?
the contract. What?
For what benefit to split on one truck? If I heard you right, he would give you a lease agreement for the truck itself and then a lease agreement for the plows and spreader that go on it?
No, it'd be one lease agreement, but the payout would happen, let's say, because the presumably, you start paying on the truck upon delivery. Well, wait a minute. Let me look at the timing. It was,
No, we are doing in arrears, which
Right.
means we get the
Yes.
truck and we pay 6 months later.
yes,
Right.
yes. Let me see. He understood the situation, that there were two parts to the Dodge. So the Dodge would be 73,680, and the snowplowing prep would be 81,860. So there was a way. Yeah, I know. It's unbelievable that the snowplowing prep is even more than the vehicle itself. He said there was a way of doing it.
Well, I wasn't aware that we were splitting that. I thought it was a split
I
between.
don't want to call it a split.
Okay, all right.
It's just the way that the funds would be doled out. But the point is, he is doing two separate contracts, one for the Western Star, one for the
Yes,
Dodge.
that's- okay.
And the Dodge has that sort of two-part.
So they may delay all this for the amount
Anyway.
of time we need the clean fleet decision.
Well, I expect to see the contracts today, and Brian and Mike are only waiting for the quotes to be signed by all of us and submitted so that he can put in the order for the trucks. So, I would recommend, let's just sign all the paperwork. I just won't submit it to them yet until we get the tax exempt leasing contract, which is then reviewed by the lawyer. And then at that point, we decide what we do with the Western Star if we still don't know anything about the clean fleets. All right, that would be my recommendation. And that's all I have.
Back
Go
to
back to
me.
Mark, yep.
Back to you.
So, Holly Evans contacted me from New Hampshire Emergency Management, Homeland Securities, and she had questions about one of the reimbursements. She's going over everything to see where she can add more money because the tables that I had were obsolete at the time I was doing this. So she asked for materials invoices, and it made me think, we are committing the village to keep these records of the reimbursements that are being done, all the FEMA stuff, for 3 years after we finish. So that would be, if we finish, and that could actually go into next year, so it could be 2007 that we finish everything. I don't know how they decide what the date is.
2027.
27, which means 3 years later would be 2030. So we'd have to have the records all available.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I gave her what she needed yesterday, but if I wasn't here, are we ready to, do we have a system set up that we can give, that we have the records available to give them 3 years from now? So that's my concern, is you're seeing all these records and emails, you have them too, if you keep the old emails, all the attachments, you have what they have.
Mm-hmm.
But 3 years from now, is it gonna be easy for whoever's in the office to say, here's what you're asking for?
Should we, at the completion of all FEMA work, just create a separate file of those receipts and set it aside? So it's just one consolidated file of all FEMA work that anybody in the future can say FEMA work 2025 to 2027, or it's there.
Yeah, to be sure, some kind of system where we know that they're backed up.
Right. In other words, we still keep all the normal files, but that's mixed in with all the other invoices we paid. So if you just have a separate file that's strictly FEMA work, so you don't have to
A
go.
digital file or a physical file?
Probably both. I would say probably both.
Mhm.
That would make eminent sense. So
Yep.
the easiest thing is if they want it 3-4 years down, boom, here's the physical file, pull it all out right there.
That would be good.
And I would think we could start now,
It would make
putting the last year's and the prior year's stuff into the file. And then, because you don't want to recreate one or create one at the end of the FEMA stuff at the end of next year or potentially even the year after, because then you're going to be recreating something from prior years. If we can start creating that file now,
Yeah,
I think that would be beneficial to the district.
build it now and just keep adding to it
Yeah.
as we go along.
Yeah, I think it would be beneficial.
Okay.
Because you're gonna see, you might remember me talking about file names time and time again
Yes.
during this
Mhm.
process.
Yes.
Well, what you have in emails that was sent by me to New Hampshire and to you, are gonna make that a little difficult, because in giving her what she asked for yesterday, I had to go back over, for example, the Coleman files. Now, we would have a file from them that was an invoice, and it would have an invoice date.
Mm-hmm.
But that file could have 2 invoices in it. You have to scroll down to see that there's a second copy of another invoice in there.
Right.
Sometimes there would be separate days. There'd be more than one day that they were buying. They'd be trucking gravel, and one invoice with one invoice number and one date for the invoice
Mm-hmm.
would say 2 days of purchases. Then you'd get an invoice that had 2 separate invoice numbers on it, 2 different days.
Mhm.
In the file, that the file name isn't giving you a hint at all. So you have to go into the files and read everything on it to see what it is.
Yeah.
And so I wrote to her, I forgot from last August that there are Coleman files that have multiple invoices in them, which took me a lot of time. That's when I said, boy, if I'm having a hard time now, who's gonna do this 3 years from now and have any idea what a mess they have on their hands?
Yeah.
That's why I bring it up.
Okay, no, it makes perfect sense. Start building a file of nothing
You don't
but
want to
FEMA
be cursed by
invoices.
unknown people in the future for what we did to
Oh, like we do?
Exactly.
We'll be the targets in the future.
So who would be responsible for building the files? Mark, would you start the process, or how does that work? Just curious.
Yeah, I'm curious about that too.
Well, how about the easiest way to start with is the administrator, as files starting today, going forward, create a separate, do your own filing system, but then create a
There
copy.
is a FEMA file.
There is a FEMA
So you
file?
can pull from the FEMA file. Everything should be there.
Oh,
Oh, so you already
That's
have
good.
what we're talking about, is it?
If he sent everything to the office, what he submitted to FEMA for reimbursement,
Yep.
it's in that file.
Okay.
So it would be a matter of creating the paper
Correct.
copy to go with it.
Paper copy.
Exactly.
Okay, all right, so it sounds like we're already on track there.
okay.
Okay?
Yep.
All the things like the Coleman are in the file system elsewhere.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
Mhm.
So are they part of that too?
They're in like 4 different spots,
Okay.
honestly.
Okay.
so, so I'd like to make a motion about a policy. And I sent the text via email. I don't know if you
Yeah.
got it before I got
Just
here.
about the reimbursement policy?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'd like to make the motion of the following. This is a policy. The VDOE commissioners may submit a request for reimbursement with digital copies of the receipts by email to the VDOE office. No hard copies or wet ink signatures are required.
What does that mean?
Second.
It means
sorry.
if, recently I put in for my Microsoft, and I think I did that. I think I just sent you via email the receipt.
Right,
And you
there's a
said,
request form. that-
right, and you told me you gotta fill out a request form, but
Yeah.
you cut me my check anyway. He's saying that the request form goes away. Just if a commissioner sends you the digital copy of the receipt,
I think there has to be some kind of other type of request to show that it'll list everything that you're requesting and that the check was issued and you received the check.
well, it would be,
I believe that was the purpose of that form.
right, but now we're looking to make it a little bit different. So if I were to send an email,
No, I'm not, I need something in writing. I'm not in agreement with just sending an email to the office and cutting checks. I believe there has to be some accountability for
well,
what it is that you're
hold on.
getting
The email,
reimbursed for.
the email would have to have attached the receipt.
And usually
what's-
they do.
Yeah, that's all that this new policy is saying. Email, please reimburse
I
me for
don't
my
see
Microsoft
why I
account.
can't present the form when I'm giving you a reimbursement in the check, why it's difficult for you to acknowledge that you're receiving this and these are the items you're getting reimbursed for. It would happen at the same time the check is being issued to you. It's part of a manifest. Just like I presented it to you the last time.
Well, yeah, but I never filled out that paperwork and I still got a check. So the point is,
Yes,
what-
you did. I presented it to you and you signed it and gave it back to
No,
me.
that's correct, okay. All right, so there's a motion in effect, which has been seconded,
For
that,
discussion.
for discussion, and we're discussing it now, you're against it, but the commissioners may be for it, that an email describing what we want to be reimbursed for, and it obviously has to include the receipt, so you can keep it in your records and match that against the reimbursement.
Yes.
So what's so difficult about that?
What's so difficult in presenting back to you
No,
when
what's so
you
difficult
receive the
about,
check?
no, what's so difficult about an
Well,
email
I don't
with a receipt?
understand why this is even an issue. What was the
It's not
problem
an
to
issue,
begin with?
it's merely
Why
a
are
way
you
of
getting
changing
upset?
business. I'm not getting upset.
You
Okay.
kind of seem like you are. I'm
Because
questioning
it's so straightforward.
a method that was apparently always presented and always something that needed to be done.
Okay, that's the way it was always done. Now we're discussing a new way of doing business, and there's nothing wrong with it.
But why? Why, what's the purpose of not allowing this form to be signed?
It's not allowing, it is just doing away with that system with a new system that's a little bit more cleaner, less paperwork.
It's just something that you would sign when you're receiving a check.
I think she's saying that it's a validation that you
It-
received the check maybe?
Correct.
Signing the check is validation you got the check.
Yeah, a
Okay,
canceled
that's
check
true.
is validation.
That's
Mhm.
true. So I think what they're saying is that step is maybe doesn't need to be anymore.
So you want to do
Correct.
away with this
Yes,
process of
that's a
reimbursement?
1970s,
For the
1980s
commissioners.
version of doing it.
I'm sorry?
For the commissioners is
Only the
motion.
commissioners?
Only
It
the
It
only
does not
applies
say
to the
anything about
commissioners.
employees.
That's a good
Okay.
point.
Employees would still need to sign that form.
Thank you.
I think we're just, you were all talking around what was pretty simple.
Okay,
I
so
know,
it's
I know.
just for the commissioners.
Right, just for the
That's
commissioners.
what the motion
Okay,
says.
thank you, Nancy, that's a very good point, that went over my head. But yes, employees sometimes need to get reimbursed too, so the same paperwork will be a requirement. But commissioners can send an email with, obviously, you have to have a proof of purchase that's a reimbursable expense. So, all in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
it's 3-0.
Thank you.
Okay,
Secondly, I'd like to make a motion that I get reimbursed for the supplies I bought for the first aid cabinets in both the DPW yards, garages. And I submitted those invoices by email in February. And one was submitted March 3rd. So I'd like those to be reimbursed.
Second.
you have all those?
I can check into it.
Okay.
So it would be send an email with the receipts, right?
We have been sending we've been sending requests for reimbursements, but this way, since we started as a board in 2024. And it was only recently you were asked to fill in a form, which you evidently didn't have to do.
You've always had the form. Mark, I have
Okay.
evidence that
All
Mark
right, all right,
completed the
all right,
form
all
and
right.
signed it.
It's fine, yeah, we just, check to make sure
So
those,
the motion on
you
the
have
floor
those
is
in
that I get
copy.
paid for
Yes.
the requests I've already made
Second,
a month ago.
Nancy already second.
okay, then aye.
Aye. 3-0.
That's it.
Okay, at 10:01, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is water. It says amount to charge 8 Little Shore, and if I
Yeah.
recall correctly, this was the home that we had to shut off the water because the leak on their owner's side was impacting our road?
Yes.
Okay, so has Simply Water repaired that, do we know? 'Cause
There's a work order.
you're more the expert on this, Nancy, but it seems to me there'd be two components to the work that they did. Whatever they charge for a shut-off and a return on of the curb stop, and then the actual work on the homeowner's side. So my question would be, obviously, anything on the homeowner's side, repairing the service line, the homeowner has to pay. But we were the ones who unilaterally took action to cut off the water because it impacted our roads.
Mhm.
So I'm assuming we would have to pay for that part, just the turn off and the turn on. But I don't know, have you encountered this situation before in the past?
Yes, you have.
Yes. Yes.
The short
Yes,
answer, yes.
and-
She's
I
already,
don't-
already filling in the rest of the answer.
Yeah, and yes, I don't recall specifically whether or not the homeowner got charged for that shut off when it was shut off at the district's request.
I think it's the policy that if the line fails on your side, on your property, we shut it off.
Yes,
But who pays for the shut off?
They created the problem.
yeah. It is on their issue. It is
That's what I wanted
the
to clarify.
homeowner's issue, so.
Because there is that, we unilaterally made that decision, but the other side of the coin is that the homeowners, their line created the problem.
Yeah.
Plus,
The full charge on this was
the
$600.
contractor had to spend time figuring out what was going on and
Mhm.
had to dig down pretty deep to get to that
Correct.
curb stop
Okay. All right. so
in the
then-
winter.
All right, so I'll make a motion that the homeowner is responsible for 100% of the bill, which includes curb stop off and on, assuming that the repair has been effective.
This is the full invoice. It was $600.
Okay,
Second.
Okay?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Is that 3-0?
Yes, it is.
3-0, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, it is 10:04, let's move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the administrator's report. Do you have anything?
Not yet.
Okay. We'll move on to the next item, still 10:04, which is old business tabled items, Mitchell Municipal draft emails. So I saw we requested, does this go into a non-public sort of thing? Because we requested paperwork on a certain case.
Yes. And this is.
No, you authorized to have the office draft emails to send him and review them prior to sending them.
Right. Right, and we saw
The drafts?
drafts, so they were short and sweet.
They were.
And exactly what they should be.
Right.
And, so, yeah, go with a,
Make a
go with,
motion.
go with a motion to, have the office release those emails to Mitchell Municipal.
Great,
Second.
Aye,
okay.
3-0. All right, 10:05, we'll move on to signature items.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, which is the pond ordinance and the water, not hookup ordinance, just water ordinance. All right? So I think we got copies of that to sign.
Yeah, I had the pond ordinance, but it doesn't appear to be here. I have the water ordinance. It may be still at the office, or miraculously, it doesn't appear to be here. But
Okay.
here's the water system ordinance.
All right. Well, we're gonna be there this afternoon, so we can just go
Yeah.
sign it. No, you gotta redo this because you spelled my name incorrectly.
Okay, that's not mine. That Nancy worked this up, so.
Oops, sorry.
It's McNiven, not McNiven. All right. So, let's table
So
that for a
sign-
moment.
Sign at office
Yes.
later this afternoon?
Yes. Okay, so the next item on signature items, this is going to be go to the non-public item, so we'll just skip over that for now. And at 10:07, we'll go to correspondence, and that was an email from a homeowner regarding our citing of a particular RSA as
Yeah.
justification to modify the pond ordinance and
That's
when-
not-
The annual meeting
annual meeting.
passed,
Yes.
Right, that's all that matters.
and that's the important part.
Yes, so when I first heard that, city council said doesn't apply to a village district, I'm thinking, wait a minute. There's 234 municipalities in New Hampshire, of which there's only 13 cities. So 221 are towns and village districts and things like that. So it occurred to me, wait, it's probably a cover for everything, but it's not. It's not. So I did some research into this. Yes, city councils have broad authority to enact ordinances, whereas towns are covered by town meetings, the legislative body, and the board of selectmen or commissioners. So the way I look at it is we were partially wrong in citing that RSI, but we still did it the correct way.
Correct.
By putting it to the legislative body to vote on it.
Yes,
Okay? If we had totally misinterpreted that RSA, we would have changed it unilaterally on our own, which city councils can do, which we can't as a village district. But we did it
right,
the
but
correct
that's
way.
where the whole requirement for holding public hearings, having them in the paper and available 10 days in advance, that's where that whole RSA comes from.
Yeah.
So we have been doing it properly. We've been doing it the same way since the district first had an ordinance. And Dan Crean was the lawyer at the time, and David Maudsley would have been the administrator at the time. And it did not get overlooked if there was some type of what size village district you are. It wouldn't have gotten overlooked.
Oh,
And that's one of the comments that gets made,
Right.
is something about having 10,000 people or something, you know? which doesn't exist in, I think, any village district in New Hampshire.
No.
I don't think there's any that are that big.
So I guess
Well,
what I'm
there might
saying is, when we put that
Not
slide
always-
up,
Not
Yeah.
always a village district, so I don't know how many people.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, we didn't even need to put that slide up. We just had to present the warrant article. That
Correct.
we wanted to make these revisions to the ordinance, and, you know, everybody gets to vote on it.
That's right.
They
hey Larry.
Hello. So,
could have voted no, but they didn't.
Correct.
did you receive this email? Was it sent to you?
I saw it.
I saw it.
I'm sure it was something the office forwarded to us.
Correct.
Yeah. When was that? That was last week, almost right after the
Well, you
meeting.
don't have to look for it.
What's that?
Anyway.
I
this
can
was-
resend
This
it.
point was debated at the meeting, right?
Yes,
It was.
So
yeah.
why are we discussing this?
because he sent
Because
a
of
follow-up email
correspondence.
saying the same thing that it was said at the annual meeting.
To what point?
That he was right.
You know, I don't know what point.
The point that he made at the
So
meeting.
we don't have to spend too much time with this,
No,
right?
we don't.
No, and I don't believe we need to respond.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think so. I mean,
Okay.
it was done correctly by putting it to the legislative body.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, all right, so let's just move on. All right, next, the Rock House Mountain Property Owners Association. Response to letter dated March 11th, certified received 3/18/26. So were we just gonna send a response to them saying that all your, those lease agreements have expired?
It's not lease agreements.
What were they
It's
exactly?
covenants.
Covenants.
That were added to deeds
Mhm.
when the village, it wasn't even, it was Eidelweiss development at the time, before they went out of business and the village district became, and Rock House separated out. They were originally sections G and J of the Eidelweiss development. And when they went out of business and everything changed and the district was formed and Rock House was formed, those covenants that were on their deeds from section J and G of Eidelweiss development, as well as to anything on our deeds, went away and they expired in 1986.
Yeah, so it wasn't when the village formed, it was when the covenants expired. 'Cause
Yeah.
It had an expiration date in it, which I would like to see all the stuff. There was a hard copy here at the last meeting.
Last week there was, and we gave it back to.
Yeah, it's here.
So, therefore you didn't get to read it, actually.
We didn't have time to go through, there was a lot of pages, so I just
Right.
sort of skimmed over it. But
Should
do you
we,
believe there was a
should we scan all that and
expiration
have a
date?
copy of it?
Yeah, but was this to discuss how we're gonna respond?
Well, is a copy of the covenants in there that would have the date that we're talking about?
They sent two copies.
I would think
one-
you would wanna see the covenants that Nancy's talking about.
Right.
All right, well, hear more.
I think we should
Familiar
hold
with
up.
this stuff than I am.
Yeah, I don't wanna hold up the meeting.
Why don't we
Yeah.
scan this and then we can review it
Okay.
and then come
Yeah.
back to a meeting and discuss it.
All right.
Somebody can keep that copy, because that's the second copy.
Okay.
Okay, and you'll scan and send us a electronic copy?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, good. So we can read that in depth, but I guess we will need to respond, and our belief is that hopefully they'll approve it, that
The covenants expired in the 60s,
expired,
in the
therefore-
80s.
Therefore, nobody in Rock House has the right to use our beaches. Okay. So,
Did scheduled appearances leave this? Is there a bullet for scheduled appearances?
there usually is.
Yep,
one
it's next.
scheduled. Well, it says public appearance, public comments.
Oh,
So, Public
You're
appearance
actually-
is just anybody who shows up, scheduled appearance.
So either Larry's anybody that showed up or he was scheduled as.
Well, he was kind of scheduled.
He was
'cause-
scheduled.
Yeah.
Scheduled. I know, sorry, took longer to dig out this morning than
Well,
I.
Actually, your timing's perfect.
Actually, you are, because we're, all right. So, should I swear him in as assistant village clerk, or do one of you want to?
You can do it.
I'll do it.
You can do
Assistant
it, and you'll
village
be doing
clerk?
it as a commissioner.
He's the moderator.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Mr. Soldano, front and center. All right, raise your right hand.
Right hand, here we
Repeat after me.
go. Okay.
I state your name.
I, Larry Sedano, Lawrence Sedano will be official name.
S. Soldano.
Uh,
Do solemnly and sincerely affirm
Do solemnly and sincerely affirm
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties
that I will faithfully and
impartially
impartially
discharge
all
and perform all the
and
duties
perform all duties
incumbent on me as moderator
incumbent on me as moderator
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
agreeably to the rules and regulations
agreeably to the rules and regulations
of the Constitution and laws of the state of New Hampshire.
of the Constitution and laws of the state of New Hampshire.
This I do under the pains and penalties of perjury.
This I do under the pains and penalties of perjury.
Congratulations, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Doing it.
And I think
You gonna sign it?
I
Oh, I
sign.
need, yeah, I think I need to execute this. Yes, I think so.
That's you. Yes, you sign there, and then we sign below. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. I will sign date as assistant. Or as commissioner, doesn't matter.
The travel logs through Alabama are great.
Yeah, unfortunately, we were, the rental car was fine. The camper
But
van
it
didn't
wasn't
make
the-
it past North Carolina.
Didn't slow you down.
Fortunately, it's under warranty.
So while you're doing that, I'll make a motion that we recess the meeting at 10:17 to resume at the garage.
Are we going into non-public?
Yes, we need to go into
No,
non-public.
we're recessing the public meeting, and we'll reconvene at the garage at a public meeting, and we'll look to go into non-public session there.
Oh, okay, we're gonna go into non-public session there?
You got other ones that need to be done here?
Um,
That's what I think that face meant.
there's,
That was the one we were gonna do non-public. I sent you the letter.
Yes.
And you got back to me and said you got the wrong crest.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do
It's
non-public here.
dated yesterday too, so I don't know if you wanted to change that too.
So.
do we want to discuss that here in non-public?
Why don't we just get it all over with? That way, we can have a clean copy. Let's discuss it in non-public and then for this afternoon. Or a final copy.
I'm confused.
I am too.
We
Thank you.
can't sign it because we don't have a good copy to sign right now, because you
Correct.
said the date and so forth.
Correct, but we can review it.
Right, that's all it is right now, it's just a review.
I take it you want to do it now, so that's fine with me.
I didn't get a chance to read it, so,
I'd like to do it right now. It'll take all of 2 minutes.
Okay,
once-
so-
okay.
Okay?
So,
So
I
can we still recess first and then go into non-public?
I think we should recess.
The public.
No, we need to vote. If you're gonna do it now, we don't recess. We vote to go into non-public session during the
Okay.
public
Then we
portion of
do
this
the
meeting,
recess
and then
after.
we recess it after this non-public session to go into another non-public session at the garage at 2
Yeah,
o'clock.
I know. Well, I hope
You need a
someone takes
scorecard
notes.
here, fans.
All right.
Okay, we're moving into non-public.
I'm gonna make a motion that we go into non-public. Nancy, how do you vote?
Or second,
Second, roll call,
And
says
aye.
And I vote
Roll
aye.
call, aye, aye.
Roll call.
Okay,
We all
thank
said
you,
aye.
Larry.
Yeah.
Thank you.